Good morning. Today is Friday, July 22nd. And we're going to start with a daily reflection on the Old Testament. Cast thy burden upon the Lord, and he shall sustain thee. Psalm 55:22. The Lord will sustain us as we turn to him with full purpose of heart. He said, Come unto me, all ye that labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you, and learn of me, for I am meek and lowly in heart, and ye shall find rest unto your souls. For my yoke is easy, and my burden is light. Those words resonate in the hearts of all who worry, all who are burdened in some way, all who face challenges and disappointment. Life is difficult. No one gets through it without experiencing heartache, pain, or discontent. Look into anyone's heart, and you will find some cause for sorrow. But with the anguish comes the promise of peace. With the despair comes the hope of happiness. It is faith in the Lord that gives us peace and hope. It is the turning to him, believing him, following him, that we find lasting happiness. Okay, so we're done with Ezra. We're in Nehemiah now, and Nehemiah is a prophet. I mean, we start in chapter 2. We skip straight over chapter 1, so I'm sure there's some context that we're missing, but from what I can gather from 2, Nehemiah is a prophet, and he's in favor of the king, Artaxerxes. And he's complaining to Artaxerxes one day, and Xerxes says, what is it that you want? And he says, I want to go back to Jerusalem, and I want to rebuild the city. I want my people to go back. I want to rebuild. And Xerxes says, go, do it. Here, take some guards with you, take some soldiers, take whatever you need, and also here's a writ, whatever you want to call it, a contract, to show anybody along the way if they try to stop you. Well, somebody does try to stop him, and he just shows them the thing, and they go on, and I believe they rebuild, or try to start. So I believe that is what is happening here in chapter 2. From what I can gather, I mean, it's what it sounded like. Let me make sure that I read the right one. Sends Nehemiah to Jerusalem. Sanballat and others oppose him in rebuilding the walls and gates of Jerusalem. Yeah. So I understood. That's a good thing. All right, so let's see what the side-by-side has to say about it. Sanballat, known as the Horonite, was a leader among the people of Samaria who opposed Nehemiah in the mission of rebuilding the walls of Jerusalem following the return of the Jewish people from the Babylonian captivity. The priests who intermarried with non-Israelite women and thus defiled the priesthood were chastened. And one of the sons of somebody, I'm not going to try to pronounce the name, the son of I'm not going to pronounce that one, the high priest, was son-in-law to Sanballat. Alright, so then there's this section here that says the work in service of God is to edify, renew, and make joyful. I'll read, I guess, a little bit of this. To learn to keep the covenants of God is to learn how to become sanctified and make a holy offering to the Lord in righteousness. The Spirit of the Lord induces the ongoing work of building building joyful families, building temples, building a Zion society, building the kingdom of God. When we work in faithful obedience to secure our families, the Lord will fight our battles for us by softening the hearts of those in influence over us, as he did in the case of the ancient kings, and by providing strength and leadership in support of the cause of truth. And then it talks about Ezra, and then it talks about Nehemiah. But here is a summary of the precepts and principles associated with Ezra and Nehemiah. I think this might help us understand the chapters this week. The inspiring leadership of Ezra and Nehemiah echoes in the lives of God's leaders in all dispensations of time. The same call to serve resounds with even greater the same call to serve resounds with even greater urgency in our day as we prepare for the second coming and the ushering in of the millennial age. We are on the Lord's business to build his kingdom. Wherefore, as ye are agents, ye are on the Lord's errand, and whatever ye do according to the will of the Lord is the Lord's business. And by putting on the whole armor of God, we can transcend the negative forces at work to thwart the designs of the Almighty. And then it gives a scriptural reference, D&C 133, verses 57 through 59. Wow. And for this cause, that men might be made partakers of the glories which were to be revealed, the Lord sent forth the fullness of his gospel, his everlasting covenant, reasoning in plainness and simplicity, to prepare the weak for those things which are coming on the earth, and for the Lord's errand in the day when the weak shall confound the wise, and the little one become a strong nation, and two shall put their tens of thousands to flight, and by the weak things of the earth the Lord shall thrash the nations by the power of the Spirit. Like the saints at the time of Ezra and Nehemiah, we can don the whole armor of God and take comfort in the hope of Israel, for the Lord had made them joyful. I'm trying to glean from that what we can learn. It's kind of hard with my choppy reading. Let's see. Inspiring leaders, doing the Lord's work. I guess it's trying to point out this sense of urgency. Like, well, why was it so important to, rebuild the temple now? Why is Nehemiah complaining about rebuilding the walls of the city and the gate? Why did they have to do the temple now? They weren't living by it before. Why are they doing it now, type thing? Or they didn't care about it before their captivity. Now it's like this urgent thing. I suppose it's this. Here it's trying to tell us that we have this responsibility before the second coming. We have this duty to, this sense of urgency to do the Lord's work. What is the Lord's work? I don't know. I mean, I do know what the Lord's work is. I'm just trying to figure out. The main theme of this week is the temple. The importance of the temple, the joy we can find in the temple, and all that stuff. But here it's saying the Lord's work. The work in service of God is to edify, renew, and make joyful. Are we being joyful in the work the Lord has for us? Are we joyful in our callings? Are we joyful in the service of others? Do we give service to others? Do we edify? Do we renew? You know, Nehemiah wanted to rebuild the gates in the city, the walls of the city that were burned down. However, what in our life is like the walls and the gates? What aspect of our protection, I guess, the walls and the gates of the city, our protection, what aspects of our protection from the adversary, the enemy, have been burned down, have been weakened? Can we now take a look at our lives, our situations, get a sense of what needs rebuilding, and then go straight away to do that, to rebuild those weak areas of our fortification and be joyful in it? I got something. I didn't think I was going to get anything, but I got something. All right. July 22nd. All right. This prayer is from Lancelot Andrews. Sorry, my eye. Okay, I'm going to leave you with a prayer from a diary of prayer from Lancelot Andrews. Blessed art thou, O Lord our God, the God of our fathers, who turnest the shadow of death into the morning, who hast lightened mine eyes, that I sleep not in death. O Lord, blot out as a night mist mine iniquities. Scatter my sins as a morning cloud. Grant that I may become a child of the light and of the day. Vouchsafe to keep me this day without sin. Uphold me when I am falling, and lift me up when I am down. Preserve this day from any evil of mine, and me from the evils of the day. Let this day add some knowledge or good deed to yesterday. O let me hear thy loving kindness in the morning, for in thee is my trust. Teach me to do the thing that pleaseth thee, for thou art my God. Let thy loving spirit lead me forth into the land of righteousness. All right. That was Nehemiah chapter 2, and we do 4 and 5 tomorrow. All right. See you then.